Welcome to Dan Really Likes Wine with Pick and Pay, and a rather special week as I hang out at one of the coolest wine shows we have in South Africa. It's a very small one, but it's one that's got a very distinct difference. Now, South Africa's awash with wine celebrations and wine festivals, and sometimes they tend to just blur into each other a little. But this one stands out because of the nature of how the wine is selected. It's called the Sommeliers Selection, and South Africa's top sommeliers from around the country have come together and have tasted wine in a whole lot of really cool categories that make the classification a lot simpler and a lot more fun, and bring out some South African wine that I think I'm going to really enjoy this afternoon. Now, you'll recognise the Franschhoek bombshell beside me from all manner of wine events. She runs the Cape Wine Auction, she runs tastings and events all over Southern Africa now. But there's something about this one, Darielle Robertson, that I know puts a particular sparkle in your eye, because it brings together not just special wine, but some really special people.
Definitely, Dan. I think with my husband being in the wine industry, everything's always so high level, and for me, I came in and I thought, let me do a competition where we actually show people, normal people that go out and buy wine, what to drink, how to drink it, what's good value for money, and really just take the guessing work out of selecting wine for your evening meal.
You champion not just the wine, but the people behind so much of our wine drinking in South Africa, our sommeliers. I think they're a very underrated group, and we don't do nearly enough to pay tribute to them, because we've got some remarkable people in the industry. This is a wonderful platform to show what they're all about.
No, definitely. I love working with the sommeliers. I mean, these guys are really phenomenal. They're top of their game, and their knowledge is just so extensive, it'll blow your mind. But they're also able to deal with the public, and I think that's something so special about them, is that even with their level of education and with their expertise, they're still able to bring it down and really converse with the everyday drinker.
There's a magic to what they do. Some of these guys, I look at Wikus Human, he can sniff a cork and tell you if the winemaker's left or right-handed, but these guys are ridiculous.
That's crazy. It is absolutely crazy.
You've got categories here which are a little different. They're not your standard ones. What do we have them? Why do we have them?
So what I thought was, instead of having categories such as Sauvignon Blanc or Chenin or Chard, I thought, let me rather take it back to a wine list and really focus on what you look for in a wine list. So you've got categories like fresh and crunchy whites, or elegant and classy, aromatic, voluptuous and luscious. So there's so many different characteristics that often get lost when you order. For me, I think the big thing is often I'll order a Chenin expecting a light unwooded wine, and I get a wooded wine. So this will take the guesswork out of that to make sure that is not in your fresh and crunchy category. So it's all about bringing it down to earth a bit. I
have some exploring to do. Give me one or two wines you think I should really look out for today.
Sure. That's always tough. I don't like having favoritism, but there are some standout wines, so I definitely go straight to those. De Grendel's always amazing. Grote Post is always one of my favorites, but I'm sure Wikus will take you through that. There's some easy drinking wines like the Protea Rosé, Le Motte's there, and Plaisir de Merle's wine is really standing out at the moment. It is absolutely phenomenal, and don't miss the Peter Falker MCC. It'll blow your mind.
I have heard good things. I'm going to have to try them all out for myself, though. I have a very busy afternoon of research ahead. I'm going to meet some sommeliers, I'm going to drink some wine, and I'm going to celebrate a really, really cool sommelier selection. One of my favourite sommeliers in South Africa is the tall figure of blonde excellence to my right. Wikus, let's give it a quick CV for people who don't know the Wikus Human story. South African Sommelier of the Year?
17.
17.
Best Young Sommelier, yes.
Best Young Sommelier.
In 2017, and then basically WSET levels in 2016, and in 2018 was Quartermasters Introductory, and this year was Quartermasters Certified Examination passed.
So you can basically pick up a glass of wine and taste it and tell me where the winemaker went to school?
On a good day, yeah.
You're as passionate about wine as anybody I know. What makes this quite so special for you as the Sommelier Selection?
I always enjoyed this competition. It's something really different, where in a sense that we get poured the wines totally blind. You don't know what varietal you're tasting. You just get a vintage and an ex-trade price, and that really makes your mind think and your palate really work hard to decide: am I tasting Chenin Blanc? Am I tasting Sauvignon, Chard, Merlot, Cab? And then once you've placed that into a category, try and establish, okay, I think this is Chenin. Does it tick the boxes for Chenin? And then essentially judge the wine on, is it Chenin? It could be a totally different, weird a style of Chardonnay or a white blend or something. So that really makes it hard in this tasting, but it really makes the sommeliers really think about what's really inside the glass.
You've got really cool categories here, which I think makes it so much more approachable in terms of a public appreciated awards system. What differentiates that? How do you put these together? How do you put them into those categories?
So usually I think Kimmy and Darielle usually does the category selection, so we don't know what's in what category. As I say, we don't know if it's Sauvignon or Chardonnay, but I think the elegant and classy is for, I think it was 70 Rand ex-VAT, anything under $70, which is quite cool, because you really have to, they put in some great wines in there, and it's something that I would maybe not pick up in a liquor store, but down the line the wine actually might be a standout wine today, which is why we should all actually taste wine blind at the end of the day. I think blind tasting is the best way to judge wine.
So I'm not going to do a blind, I'm going to do a sighted tasting because you've got one of these for me to try out. What am I going to be drinking here?
So as the sommeliers, we do prefer Riesling. I mean, after a whole night on the floor, you want something with quite a high acidity. And well, this is a bit more sort of dry style of Riesling. It's made by Lothian Vineyards, 2018, from Elgin. So it's beautiful, cool climate Riesling. And then the winemaker is actually Richard Kershaw, who specifies as a Chardonnay. So he's showing us his Riesling traits here, but yeah, I don't mind a glass of Riesling when I get home at 11 o'clock at night.
Sure. You were looking for acid, you certainly found it here. It's got a very nice sharpness.
Yeah, it's almost like a fresh wetsuit in the glass there. That's what I pick up in Riesling.
Yeah, so there we go. There's your Riesling tasting note. It's a fresh wetsuit.
Or fresh can of tennis balls. That's delicious.
Ooh, that is lovely. Perfect temperature. And it's a little bit softer than the nose might suggest, but it's still got a lovely crunch to it.
Definitely beautiful acidity. Maybe some oysters with this would be great right now.
Oh, lovely. I mean, we know Richard Kershaw's a genius when it comes to Chardonnay. Richard, you've clearly got your Riesling sorted as well.
Perfect.
So that's a wine to try. There's a lot of wine for me to try out here. Is there anything else that I should go looking for, you reckon?
I think maybe focus on a bit of a weirder varietals tonight, so like the Chenins, the Semillons. There's some cool white blends around as well. On the red side, there's some very good Pinots and Merlots around as well. So yeah.
I have a lot of work to do. I've got some advice. I'm going to go and try some more. Wikus Human, thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers. So from the apprentice to the master, Wikus Human is known as one of South Africa's finest sommeliers, but this is the man who actually got him involved. Francois, you've got a lot to answer for.
Yes, well, I'm just glad that he's doing so well today, but yes, guilty as charged.
What do you do to get somebody into wine the way Wikus has got into wine? How do you turn them into this master alchemist?
The best way is to get them to start studying and then to do blind tastings. We did a lot of blind tastings in the beginning, and then the bug just bit, and then, yeah, look at him today. He's doing very well today.
You inspired him. Who inspired you to get into wine?
So I come from a winemaking family, and my family makes wine, but I decided that I'd rather be on the selling side of wine. So before that, I actually worked with David at Saxon, and I worked with him for quite a while there, and yeah, it's been a good road for me, and it's been a pleasure to be in the wine industry and the service side of the wine industry, where we lack a lot of expertise.
You got some wine here. What is it? Where's it from? And what am I going to be drinking?
So we're pouring Zeevenwacht today from Stellenbosch, and I'm going to give you a Gewürztraminer from one of the oldest blocks in South Africa. 38 years old. We make very little wine from that block, and we're very fortunate to have been honoured with an award for the wine.
So Gewürztraminer, for those people who can't pronounce it, let alone know what it is, a little bit of background on the grape, on the wine?
So German grape variety, you also get it in Alsace, where it's one of the noble grape varietals. You can make it where it's quite off dry and sweet. We tend to ferment it longer, so we get quite a dry and crisp wine out of it, but a great food combination with anything with a bit of spice on it. Thai food, Gewürztraminer is a go-to for those type of meals.
I have to say, I've had a couple of bottles of this with a cheese fondue in Switzerland, and they make for a very palatable combination. Oh, there's almost a dessert wine nose to it, isn't there? It's got that sweetness.
So the aromatics seem to be very sweet, but then you'll see on the palate,
very different.
Quite dry.
Oh, that's lovely.
Tastes like more.
Yeah, well, Gewürztraminer, you probably don't know this, but Gewürztraminer is from the old German word meaning it is illegal not to finish the bottle,
Okay.
which I think is a really good way of approaching any bottle of wine.
I'm going to use that pitch.
I think you should. Oh, well, this is lovely. Vic has pointed me in your direction. Whose direction would you point me in for something else to try out?
I'm always very excited about Pinotage and Pinotage blends. So I think Wildekrans next to me is a great example of those two grape varietals, which is obviously what we are very proud of as South Africans.
The man who taught Wikus Human, I'm hardly going to say no. I shall go and try some. Thank you,
Cheers then.
and
That was
cheers.
great.
So every so often a message pops up on Facebook from a gentleman very, very keen to send some wine my way. These are messages I like to get. And when you've been very good about getting in touch and sending me wine, you've been with a few people over the years, but at the moment you're in one of my favourite spots out in the Botha River area. We're looking after the Wildekrans wine.
Yeah, that's correct. So moved from the Franschhoek to the Botha River. It's been a nice move. Lovely, lovely region. Great Cheddars, great Pinot Noirs, and great Pinotage coming out of the region as well.
It's a wine region that I don't think gets quite enough attention. You've got some lovely little estates out there. People like Beaumont making some lovely, lovely wine. The Mad Ginger with his Luddite. A great collection of people. What for you makes the area of Wildekrans quite so special?
You know, it's if you look at it, it's almost like an untouched little gem that still needs to be found. And I think, you know, everyone that comes to the region, they always say, "Wow, wish we had come here before." You know, it's non-commercial, it's genuine, and I think it's just beautiful place.
You sent me up some wine recently. I had some of the Pinotage, which was absolutely superb, and that takes a lot for me because I'm not always the biggest Pinotage fan. But you won me over with that one.
Good.
And Pinotage forms part of a Cape blend you've got here.
That's correct, yeah. So the Cape blend that we've got is the 2016. This one's just been released probably in the next few days, I think. 71% Pinotage, 19% Cabernet Sauvignon, the balance being made up of Pinot Noir and Shiraz. So
It's an
nice
interesting combination.
Yeah, it is. So
All right, we'll pour away.
some there.
Fantastic. So I'm very keen on the meaning of words, and Wildekrans comes from the old Dutch word meaning to put as many stickers as possible on your bottles. And I say that a little facetiously, but it does show that you guys do get a lot of accolades, a lot of recognition.
Yeah, we're quite humbled by it all, and it's great to see. And we've decided it's not about sort of producing mass quantity. It's about doing quality and letting the terroir sort of dictate to us what it wants to present to us. And yeah, we come up with some great wines, and we're very happy.
All right, well, let's try it. So this is the Cape blend, means it has got at least a third Pinotage in. Nice chocolatey nose, a little bit of spice to it. Oh, that's lovely. What I love about a lot of the Pinotage I'm drinking at the moment, this is a good example, it's a Pinotage blend, but it's that it doesn't have quite the rubberiness. There's a softness to it that's coming through, and I think this headlines this Cape blend beautifully.
Yeah, it's like I think I'm glad to sort of see a lot of guys moving away from that typical style of wheel spin tires and banana peel, as I like to call it. But definitely none of that in that bottle. So.
None at all. So this is the Cape blend, a little bit of Pinotage together with a couple of other reds, combining for a really nice grape, and one that clearly the sommeliers have liked. Every week a couple of invitations will arrive for wine launches in Johannesburg, new vintages, new wines, sometimes entirely new cellars, and I know it's a high quality one when I walk in and this man happens to be sitting down. This particular celebration, the Sommeliers Selection, what does it mean to you as a sommelier?
What's good about this Sommeliers Selection, it is judged by the sommeliers in the country, and it is done blind. They don't know the label. They will taste the wines and they will choose the wine that will come and to be like showcased at this. That is what is good about this. It is chosen by my colleagues in the industry.
So it's a peer review of wine, and it's lovely to see. There's some terrific wine here. I haven't worked out where to begin to start. You've got some terrific wine here, and there's one wine in particular that's got one of the top awards for this week.
The wine that I chose from this stand, that is Plaisir de Merle. and that is a Grand Plaisir, and that is a 2014 vintage. That is a Bordeaux blend style, and that is mainly having Cabernet Sauvignon. If you look at the color of this wine, it's quite dark, it's quite intense. And then the nose of this wine, you get all those characteristics from those grapes. The blackcurrants from the Cabernet, the plums, the raspberries from the Merlot, and then the cassis as well from the Cabernet Franc. And then the palate of this wine, it has got a tannin structure, but those tannins are they more supple. It is a soft tannins, because sometimes tannins can be grapey. But this wine, it is one of those wines that you can have them on their own. With the meal, definitely, it will be a must.
May I try some myself?
Yes, you may, definitely. My sincere apologies for that.
A very bad sommelier here. I love that. That's just that the colour just says
look at the
rich
colour.
and dark and
Yes,
lovely.
yes. But the more that you swirl the wine, you get that cigar box smell.
I think sometimes in South Africa we occasionally forget just what good Cabernet Sauvignon we actually make.
Yes. And where this wine is from Paarl, it's an ideal region for the Cabernet Sauvignon.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that is lovely.
See, it is very juicy as well on the palate.
And you're right. You get the tannins still there, but they've softened beautifully.
Soft. Yeah.
There's nothing abrasive at all on the palate.
It's what I describe them as supple tannins.
Oh. So basically, this is a very good example of the hardship that Eric and myself have to go through on a daily basis. Taking wines like these, drinking them, appraising them, make sure we know every single detail. And sometimes one glass isn't enough. Sometimes you need 2 or 3 just to make absolutely sure.
I would say that is a good hardship.
Eric, thank you for sharing this one
pleasure.
with me, and thanks for everything you do for wine in South Africa.
Yes, please.
Over the years of Dan Really Likes Wine, you may have heard me mention Kleine Koop. You might have seen me taste some bottles, which are renowned not just for being small, unique, and usually quirky, but also for having some of the coolest labelling in wine. And Wynand, your wine is it's a brand I've come to really enjoy. But before we get into that, let's look at this space we're in now. It's a really cool selection of wine because the parameters are very different, and you're also getting judged by some very important people in the industry.
Yeah, and we always like getting selected for the Sommeliers Selection. So it's a great competition, and hopefully all the wines are like the quality that they need to be some of the top wines in South Africa.
What I love about this, as well as the sommeliers doing the selections, is the categories, because they are very different, but the categories that most people who maybe aren't overly familiar with wine, I think can identify with a little more.
Oh, sure. So I think the classes are great, and like the sommeliers obviously like classy as they think you are. So I think we got elegant and classy. I like that.
Speaks to you personally, really,
well,
Wynand.
thank you very much. But I think it's a great competition, as I said. The format's awesome and the judges are great, so it means a lot to us.
Now, I know this through my dear friend Stefanos Rabi, who's a big part of the origin story of Kleine Koop. People who don't know it, the backstory and what makes this so special.
Yeah, so it's basically a winery that was started by a bunch of friends and it developed into quite a nice little business, I suppose, if you want to call it. Wine is more fun than business, I suppose. But and then the brands evolved and they keep changing every year. We keep adding some new stuff, and it's always fun and interesting and creative, so we love it.
And is it still a case of finding a parcel here and there and turning it into something special?
That's exactly that. So we look for the best parcels all across the country and go for it.
Well, you've done that pretty well so far in the lifetime of Kleine Koop. But what do we got here? What am I going to be drinking?
So this, we've got the Klipkers White. It's a Grenache Blanc, Grenache Gris and Videlio blend from the Voorpaardenberg region. So Swartland, on our way to Swartland. Awesome stuff. The Grenache Gris, really cool wine. Grenache Gris is your structure and your texture. That's barrel fermented. Where the Grenache Blanc and the Videlio is actually stainless steel fermented. We leave them separate for about 3 or 4 months until we blend. And the Videlio is obviously your good acidity that you get. The Grenache Blanc is just all the flavour that you just got on your nose there. But a really cool blend from a great region in South Africa.
It's a lovely big burst of grenadilla and summer freshness, and
you'll see the acidity is really nice and zesty too.
This is almost like one of my missions with Dan Really Likes Wine, is to not stop people from drinking Sauvignon Blanc, but to get them beyond Sauvignon Blanc and experiencing the full spectrum of wine. This would be a lovely step up from Sauvignon Blanc because the characteristics aren't dissimilar, but it's just got more depth and more breadth to it.
Exactly. So you get the freshness and the zippiness, but you also get the texture and the structure from all the Rhone style varietals.
Oh.
So that's a very good summary, actually.
This
You've
is
been
lovely.
doing this a lot.
Well, you know, try. It's a lot of practice. And also, just a quick word, your labels, you always just look as though you have a great deal of fun putting those together.
We do. I think there are two guys that you can name here. So they're excellent, like some varsity mates, Jan Solms and, I forget the other name. But so two great guys, and they're really good, like creative, like mine. So they do these labels and they're awesome.
Good labels, they are eye-catching, but far more importantly, the wine inside is lovely. This is another terrific example, and it's got the nod from the sommeliers. So once again, nicely done. So that is a small selection of a wonderful collection of wine. As you can see from the board behind me, there's a fair amount of wine that has made the sommeliers list. They've enjoyed themselves enormously putting it together, and as you've heard from the sommeliers we've spoken to today, these are guys who are so passionate about wine and love this particular space. So look out for the Sommeliers Selection sticker. It's an endorsement from the sommeliers themselves. Wonderful South African wine, a great collection. I've only tasted a little of it though, so I suspect my afternoon's work is a long way from done.